The rope burns against my wrists as I try to move my hands. My heart pounds so hard I can hear it echoing in this cold, empty warehouse. The man sitting across from me hasn't said a word for the past 10 minutes. He just stares at me with these dark, scary eyes while holding my phone. Antonio Blackwood. I know his name now, though I wish I didn't. Everyone in the city knows that name, but they whisper it like saying it too loud might make him appear. And here I am, tied to a metal chair, facing the most dangerous man in the city because of one stupid text message. He finally speaks, his voice deep and calm in a way that makes my skin crawl. Read it again. One of his men, a tall guy with scars on his face, takes my phone and reads out loud. Mia, don't go tonight. The police are planning a raid on the warehouse on 5th Street at midnight. Your boyfriend is in serious danger. Please stay home. My stomach drops every time I hear those words. Words I never meant to send to a stranger. Words that were supposed to save my best friend, but instead landed me in the worst nightmare of my life. Interesting message for a college student to send, Tony says, standing up slowly. He's wearing an expensive black suit that probably costs more than my entire semester's tuition. Tell me, Zara Collins, how does a girl who works at a coffee shop know about police raids? I already told you, I whisper, my voice shaking. It was a mistake. I was trying to text my friend Mia, but I typed the wrong number. I swear, I don't know anything about police business. He walks closer and I can smell his cologne mixed with something that reminds me of danger. You typed the wrong number, he repeats, like he's testing how the words sound. And this wrong number just happened to be my private line, the line that only 5 people in this entire city know about. I want to disappear. I want to wake up in my tiny apartment and discover this is all just a terrible dream, but the rope cutting into my skin tells me this is very real. The raid you warned about, Tony continues. It happened exactly as your message said. My men barely escaped. Millions of dollars in merchandise was lost, all because someone knew exactly when and where the police would strike. Tears start rolling down my cheeks. I don't understand any of this. I just heard something at the coffee shop and thought Mia's boyfriend might get hurt. I was trying to help my friend. Tony crouches down so we're eye to eye. This close, I can see that his dark eyes aren't just scary. They're cold, like looking into a frozen lake. Here's what I think happened, Zara. I think you're working with the police. I think you're an informant who got careless and sent information to the wrong contact. No! The word comes out louder than I intended. I would never work with police against anyone. I don't even know what you do for a living. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. What I do for a living. He stands up and walks back to his chair. I own this city, little girl. Every business, every street corner, every secret that matters, it all goes through me. And now, because of your little mistake, you belong to me, too. The warehouse feels like it's spinning around me. What do you mean? Tony sits back down and folds his hands. Until I figure out exactly how you knew about that raid, you're not going anywhere. You're going to help me find the real informant. 2 days earlier, my biggest worry was passing my graphic design midterm. I was sitting in my favorite corner of the coffee shop where I work, sketching logos on napkins during my break. The morning rush had died down, and I was enjoying the quiet when I heard voices from the booth behind me. The whole operation goes down tomorrow night, a man's voice said quietly. Midnight, 5th Street warehouse. Make sure your guy knows to stay clear. I didn't mean to listen, but the words made my stomach twist. Mia had been acting strange lately, always whispering on phone calls and coming home late. Last week, she finally told me she was dating someone new, but she wouldn't tell me his name or where they met. What if someone gets hurt? A woman asked. That's not our problem. We just pass along the information. My hands started shaking as I realized what I was hearing. These people were talking about some kind of police operation, and if Mia's mysterious boyfriend was involved in anything illegal, he could be walking into a trap. I grabbed my phone and started typing as fast as I could. My fingers were trembling so badly I kept making mistakes. I deleted the message 3 times before finally sending, "Mia, don't go tonight. The police are planning a raid on the warehouse on 5th Street at midnight. Your boyfriend is in serious danger. Please stay home." The moment I hit send, I felt relieved. I had done the right thing by warning my best friend. Mia might be mad at me for getting involved, but at least she would be safe. I finished my shift and walked home to our small apartment, expecting to find Mia there so I could explain everything. But the apartment was empty. I called her phone 5 times, but it went straight to voicemail. That's when the strange things started happening. First, I noticed a black car parked across the street from our building. The same car was there when I left for my evening class and still there when I came back 3 hours later. Then I saw a man in a dark jacket standing by the mailboxes, pretending to check his phone, but watching our apartment door. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe the stress of school and work was making me imagine things. But when I woke up the next morning, there were 2 different cars outside, and I could swear someone had been through my backpack while I slept. Mia still wasn't answering her phone. Her bed hadn't been slept in. I tried to focus on my classes, but I kept feeling like someone was watching me. In the library, at the grocery store, walking to work, everywhere I went, I saw faces that seemed too interested in what I was doing. By the second day, I was too scared to leave the apartment. I called in sick to work and sat by the window watching the street. That's when I saw them coming. 3 men in expensive suits walking toward my building like they owned the place. I wake up in a bed that's bigger than my entire bedroom at home. The sheets are softer than anything I've ever touched, but my whole body aches like I've been hit by a truck. My head throbs as I try to remember how I got here. The men in suits. They knocked on my door and said they just wanted to talk. When I refused to open it, they broke the lock like it was made of paper. I tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. One of them put something over my face that smelled sweet, and everything went black. Now I'm in what looks like a palace. The ceiling is so high, I have to crane my neck to see it. Paintings in gold frames cover the walls, and everything looks expensive and perfect. Nothing like the world I come from. You're awake. The voice makes me jump. Tony Blackwood is sitting in a chair by the window, still wearing that black suit. In the daylight streaming through massive windows, he looks even more dangerous than he did in the warehouse. "Where am I?" I ask, pulling the blanket up to my chin. "My home." He stands up and walks closer. "We need to have a longer conversation about your message, Zara. I'd told you everything already. It was a mistake." He pulls out a folder thick with papers and photos. "I had my people look into your life, Zara. Zara Collins, 22 years old, studying graphic design at the community college, works part-time at Sunrise Coffee Shop, lives with roommate Mia Torres." He flips through the pages. "Clean record, no criminal history, no connections to law enforcement." Hope flickers in my chest. "See, I'm nobody special. I'm just a student who made a mistake." "That's what makes this interesting." Tony sits on the edge of the bed, and I scoot as far away as possible. "Because according to my investigation, you really are just an innocent college girl, which means someone used you." "Used me? I don't understand." "The information in your message was accurate down to the minute. The only people who knew those details were the police and my organization. Since you're not police, someone fed you that information knowing you would pass it along." My mind races. "But I heard it at the coffee shop. 2 strangers were talking."
Strangers who happen to discuss a secret police operation loud enough for you to overhear. In the exact coffee shop where you work, Zara? That's quite a coincidence. The room feels like it's spinning. Do you think someone wanted me to hear that conversation? I think someone knew you would try to warn your friend Mia, and they knew you would send that warning to the wrong number, my number. He leans closer. The question is, who knew you well enough to predict your actions? That's impossible. Nobody would do that to me. Tony opens the folder den and pulls out a photograph. My blood turns to ice when I see it. It's a picture of Mia shaking hands with a man in a police uniform. Your best friend has been meeting with Detective.
The photograph burns in my hands as I stare at Mia's face. She's smiling in the picture, looking comfortable and relaxed with the police officer, like they've known each other for a long time. This can't be real, I whisper. But even as I say it, pieces start falling into place. Mia's late nights, her secretive phone calls, the way she always changed the subject when I asked about her new boyfriend. Detective Blake Harrison, Tony says, pointing to the man in the photo. He's been trying to bring down my organization for 2 years. Smart, dedicated, and apparently very good at recruiting college students. I set the photo down with shaking hands. Even if this is true, I didn't know anything about it. I was just trying to help my friend. I believe you. Tony's words surprise me, but believing you doesn't solve my problem. My enemies now think you're important to me. They think you have information about my business. What enemies? He walks to the window and looks out at the perfectly manicured garden below. I control the east side of the city. The Castellano family controls the west side. We've had peace for 5 years, but they've been looking for an excuse to start a war. He turns back to me. Your message gave them that excuse. I don't understand. They think I have a police informant close to me. They think that informant is you. Last night they tried to kidnap you from your apartment, but you were already here. My legs feel weak. Someone tried to kidnap me? 3 men broke into your building around midnight. They tore your apartment apart, looking for evidence that you're working with the police. Tony sits down across from me. Your neighbor called the police, but by then the men were gone. I think about Mrs. Chen, the elderly woman who lives next door. She always worries about me and Mia. Is she okay? She's fine, but they'll be back, and next time they won't just be looking for evidence. The room feels too small suddenly. I can't breathe properly. What do they want with me? They want to send me a message. In our world, when someone betrays you, there are consequences. They think you betrayed me, so they want to make an example of you. I stand up too fast and have to grab the bedpost to keep from falling. But I didn't betray anyone. I don't even know what you people do. What we do, Tony says calmly, is control everything that happens in this city that the police can't or won't handle. Gambling, protection, information, favors. If someone needs something done quietly, they come to us. You mean you're criminals? I mean we're businessmen who operate outside the law. And right now, you're caught in the middle of a business dispute that could get you killed. Then let me go. I'll leave the city. I'll transfer to a different school. Tony shakes his head. It's too late for that. The Castellanos have your picture. They know your name. Running will only make you look more guilty. So what am I supposed to do? You're going to stay here where I can protect you, and you're going to help me prove that you're not the informant by helping me find out who really is. And if I refuse, Tony's expression doesn't change, but something cold flickers in his eyes. Then I'll turn you over to the Castellanos and let them decide what to do with you. I sink back onto the bed, feeling trapped and helpless. How long do I have to stay here? Until this is over. Tony heads toward the door. My sister Carmen will bring you some clothes. Try to get some rest. Wait, I call out. What about Mia? Is she safe? Tony pauses at the door. For now, but if she... 3 days of living in Tony's mansion feels like 3 years. Carmen, his sister, has been kind to me, bringing me books and trying to make conversation. But I can't stop thinking about Mia. Every time I ask Tony about her, he gives me the same answer. She's being watched. Today, Carmen brings me a laptop. Tony wants you to look at something, she says, her voice gentler than her brother's, but still serious. The screen shows security footage from the coffee shop where I work. I watch myself sitting in my usual corner, sketching on napkins. Then I see the 2 people in the booth behind me, the ones whose conversation I overheard about the police raid. My heart stops when I recognize the woman's face. That's impossible, I whisper. Carmen sits beside me. You know her? The woman in the video is Mia's older sister, Rosa. She moved to another state 2 years ago for a job. At least, that's what Mia told me. She's supposed to be living in Arizona, I say, my voice barely audible. According to our investigation, Rosa Torres has been working with Detective Harrison for 8 months. She's been feeding her information about people in the neighborhood who might be useful to the police. I watch the video again. Rosa is sitting with a man I don't recognize, and they're talking quietly. I can see myself in the background, completely focused on my sketching, unaware that I'm about to overhear the conversation that would destroy my life. They planned this, I realize. They knew I would be there. They knew I would try to warn Mia. Rosa knew your schedule at the coffee shop. She knew you always sit in that corner during your break, and she knew you would panic if you thought Mia's boyfriend was in danger. The pieces fall together like a horrible puzzle. But why? Why would they use me? Carmen closes the laptop. Because they needed someone completely innocent to deliver the message. If a known police informant had contacted Tony's number, he would have been suspicious. But a scared college student trying to help her friend, that seemed believable. Until Tony realized it was too much of a coincidence. My brother is very good at spotting lies and setups. It's kept him alive this long. I feel sick. So Mia doesn't know. She really thinks she's just dating some guy? We're not sure. Rosa might have told her to keep you close, to make sure you stayed predictable. Or Mia might be completely innocent, just like you were. The door opens and Tony walks in. His expression is darker than usual. We have a problem, he says. The Castellanos just grabbed Mia from her college campus. They're demanding a trade, her life for yours. My blood turns to ice. What does that mean? It means they want me to hand you over to them, and in exchange, they'll let your friend live. Tony's voice is calm, but I can see anger in his eyes. They're giving me until midnight to decide. How long do we have? Carmen asks. The phone rings at exactly 6 o'clock. Tony puts it on speaker so I can hear everything. A man's voice comes through, rough and threatening. Blackwood, you have something that belongs to us. I have a college student who sent a wrong text message, Tony replies calmly, hardly worth starting a war over. That college student cost us a major operation. Our sources say she's been feeding you police information for months. I want to scream that it's not true, but Tony signals for me to stay quiet. Your sources are wrong, Castellano, but I'm willing to discuss this like civilized businessmen. The only discussion is this. Bring the girl to the old pier at midnight. Come alone. We'll trade her for your little friend. The line goes dead. Tony stares at the phone for a long moment. You can't seriously be considering this, Carmen says. I'm considering all options. Tony looks at me. They have an innocent girl because of a situation I created by keeping you here. Mia isn't innocent, I say quietly. Her sister Rosa set this whole thing up. Mia might have known. Might have known isn't the same as definitely knew, Tony replies. And even if she was involved, she doesn't deserve to die for it. Carmen stands up. This is obviously a trap. They don't just want Zara, they want you too. The moment you show up at that pier, they'll kill both of you. Probably. Tony's calm acceptance of this fact terrifies me. Then we don't go, I say. We find another way. What other way? Tony asks. They have your friend. They have the advantage. We call the police. Both Tony and Carmen stare at me like I've suggested flying to the moon. The police, Carmen says slowly, who have been trying to arrest my brother for 5 years? Detective Harrison, I say, the idea forming as I speak. He's been using Mia's family to get information about Tony's organization. If the Castellanos kill Mia, he loses his informants. He needs her alive as much as we do. Tony considers this. You want to work with the police. I want you to use them. Harrison doesn't care about some gang war between you and the Castellanos. He cares about his investigation. If we can convince him that saving Mia helps his case, he might be willing to help us get her back. Carmen shakes her head. This is insane. We don't work with cops. We don't usually get innocent college students kidnapped either, Tony says. He looks at me with something that might be respect. You're suggesting we turn this into a 3-way operation? I'm suggesting we use every advantage we have. Harrison wants to arrest you, but he wants to solve his case more. The Castellanos want to kill me, but they want to hurt you more. Maybe we can use their priorities against them. Tony picks up his phone. Carmen, get me everything we have on Detective Blake Harrison. The pier is dark and cold at 11:30. I'm wearing a bulletproof vest under my jacket, but it doesn't make me feel any safer. Tony stands beside me, calm as always, while Detective Harrison and his team hide in the shadows behind shipping containers. Remember, Harrison whispers through the earpiece Tony insisted I wear, we need them to admit they have the girl before we move in. 3 black cars pull up exactly at midnight. Men in dark suits get out, but I don't see Mia anywhere. My heart pounds as Vincent Castellano walks toward us. He's older than Tony, with gray hair and cold eyes that remind me of a snake. You came, Vincent says, sounding surprised. I thought you were smarter than that, Blackwood. I keep my word, Tony replies. Where's the girl? Safe, for now. Vincent signals to one of his men, who opens the trunk of the middle car. Mia stumbles out, her hands tied behind her back. Even from this distance, I can see she's been crying. Mia! I start to run toward her, but Tony grabs my arm. Not yet, he says quietly. Vincent laughs. How touching. The little informant cares about her friend. I'm not an informant, I say, my voice stronger than I feel. I sent one wrong text message. That's all. One text message that cost us millions of dollars and 3 good men. Vincent's voice turns dangerous. But don't worry. After tonight, you won't be sending any more messages. That's when Detective Harrison's voice comes through the radio. We have enough. Move in. Suddenly, the pier explodes with light and sound. Police officers emerge from everywhere, shouting commands and pointing guns. Vincent's men reach for their weapons, but they're outnumbered and surrounded. Police! Nobody move! In the chaos, Tony grabs my hand and pulls me toward the water. This way, he says. What about Mia? Harrison's people will get her. We need to go. But I can't leave without knowing she's safe. I break free from Tony's grip and run toward the cars where Mia is still tied up. One of Vincent's men sees me coming and raises his gun. The shot echoes across the water, but it's not aimed at me. Tony appears beside the gunman, and the man falls to the ground. Tony's own gun is smoking in his hand. I told you to stay back, but there's no anger in his voice. Detective Harrison reaches Mia first, cutting the ropes around her wrists. She looks up and sees me, and for a moment I think she's going to run to me. Instead, she looks away, shame written all over her face. "It's over," Harrison says, walking toward us as his officers arrest Vincent and his men. "Both of you are free to go." Tony holsters his gun. "Just like that?" "Just like that. You helped us arrest the Castellano family. Consider it a one-time favor." As we walk away from the pier, Tony stops and looks at me. "You could have been killed back there." "So could you. Why did you save me?" He's quiet for a long moment. "Because you didn't deserve any of this." The next morning, I'm back in my apartment, packing my things. Mia sits on her bed, watching me fold clothes into boxes. "I'm sorry," she says for the 10th time. "I never meant for you to get hurt." "I know." I don't look at her. "But I can't stay here anymore." "Where will you go?" "Somewhere far away from all of this." I close the box and tape it shut. "Somewhere I can start over." There's a knock at the door. When I open it, Tony is standing there in a simple black shirt and jeans. He looks almost normal, except for his eyes. "I wanted to make sure you were okay," he says. "I'm alive. That's more than I expected 3 days ago." He hands me an envelope. "There's enough money in there to finish school wherever you want to go, and a phone number, in case you ever need help." I take the envelope, but don't open it. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you saved my life last night. And because," he pauses, looking uncomfortable, "because you showed me that not everyone in this world is trying to use someone else." "What will you do now?" "The same thing I've always done. Run my business, protect my family, and try to stay alive." He turns to leave, then stops. "Zara." "Yeah? That wrong number you sent? It might have been the best mistake you ever made." After he leaves, I sit on my bed and think about everything that's happened. One text message changed my entire life. It brought me face to face with the world I never knew existed, showed me that my best friend had been lying to me, and somehow led to me saving the life of one of the most dangerous men in the city. Mia is moving back home with her parents. Rosa was arrested along with Detective Harrison for corruption and endangering civilians. The Castellano family is finished. And me? I'm starting over in a new city, with a new school, and a phone number I hope I'll never have to use. But sometimes, late at night, I think about Tony Blackwood and wonder if he ever thinks about the college student who accidentally stumbled into his world and somehow made it out alive. The wrong